Hey, what's up, you guys? We're finally here. Tyson Fury is now set to box Francis Ngannou tomorrow morning, live from Saudi Arabia. I mean, wow, I can't believe we're finally here. We're about to witness this. I'm just gonna go based off time, but if you're in like California, Bay Area, if you live around there, the fight's gonna start at 10 a.m., which, you could always expect that with these Middle Eastern cards. So yeah, Saudi Arabia, Tyson Fury, Francis Ngannou boxing. I don't know how I feel about this. I want to know what you guys feel about this. Please, you guys, down in the comments below, let me know what you guys think about this fight and who you guys have winning this fight. Taking a look at the odds for this fight, Fliff has Tyson Fury at a minus 2,450 favorite. Oh my god. And then Francis is sitting at a plus 775. These odds are absolutely insane. To think that if these odds were in let's say a UFC fight, Francis would never be this big of an underdog just based off the sheer power he has. But because this fight is taking place under a boxing setting, you could understand why the odds are like this. But man, let's see here, a $10 bet on Francis Ngannou. Yeah, if you at least sprinkle something on Francis, you're getting 87.50 as of right now. It might not hurt just to lay a little something on Francis. Dude has by far the hardest punch in the whole world. You cannot count him out for that. Then again, too, I could definitely understand why you wouldn't, want to bet Francis. If we look at the markets, for the fight to go the distance, plus 500, minus 835. You could play that. I'm not gonna lie, plus 500 isn't that bad. I don't see either one of these guys really finishing each other. Just a reminder, this is using the app Fliff. New customers that put in $100, Fliff will match your deposit, give you another 100. So there you got 200 for you guys. Please go down to the description below, click my link. If not, I do have my code right here, which is 7SESD. Do not miss out on these odds on Francis. I'm definitely going to be placing a little bit on Francis to win. And that's just it. I will be placing a little bit because ultimately I don't think he gets this done, man. As much as we give him, props for all the power that he carries, in that right hand, the left hand, any punch that he throws, the guy is literally the predator. His name perfectly sums up, how he attacks you and everything. But man, there's just so many factors that go into this fight. Francis has been out for more than a year now. Apparently he had knee injuries, but even before that, injury after injury after injury, it was just kind of he was only fighting one time a year. And with Francis no longer being part of the UFC, now he's signed to the PFL. It makes you wonder what kind of mentality is he really going into this fight with? For me personally, what my opinion is, I feel most of the times when these MMA fighters go into the boxing ring, it's just to get a fat paycheck. I could definitely tell you, Ben Askren didn't go into the Jake Paul fight, neither did Tyron Woodley, thinking that oh, I'm definitely going to beat this guy, and that's that, it's for the sport. These guys definitely went in there because they underestimated Jake Paul and they thought I'm just gonna get a fat paycheck. As much as it sucks to say, being an MMA fan, you could definitely say the same thing for Dylan Dennis, Nate Diaz, Luke Rockhold. I feel really the only exceptions are guys like Jose Aldo, that's doing it for competition. Anderson Silva did it for competition. Mike Perry did it for competition. That guy's so active. Always looking to fight. But the difference is, with all the people I just named, they relatively have even or so competition with those fights. Like I said, you're getting Logan Paul versus Dylan Dennis. There's not, both guys have areas of expertise, you could say, but they're more so around the same skill set. With this fight, they said forget that. You're getting the best heavyweight, arguably of all time and arguably of this, decade. To put this into perspective, this reminds me a lot of Conor versus Floyd. We all thought hey, Conor has, all the chance in the world because he has that left hand that he can land. But the skill gap in the world of boxing is just so different. It's not similar at all. And looking back at that fight, obviously we saw Conor land good shots because it's still a fight. fight, you know, anything could happen. But then ultimately we saw, you know, Floyd's skill and, you know, all the development he's done over the years of, you know, being a boxer, only throwing hands. And, you know, he ended, you know, Conor, you know, finished him. I think it was in later rounds. I don't even know off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure it was like the 8th round. I think there's a very good chance that could happen. You know, I'm almost certain, and I feel like everyone's certain, that Francis has no chance of winning this fight, that Tyson's just going to play with him, pick him apart from distance. I mean, he's even the bigger guy. I mean, for how, you know, big, I guess, he looks, you know, he's still the bigger guy. But, I mean, guys, I love a good underdog story. And, man, Francis looks locked in. He looks dialed in. I mean, he's had all the backlash from the UFC, all the backlash from the fans, you know, from all the inactivity he's done, ruining the John Jones fight. I mean, everyone is against his side, I feel. And I feel like I've never seen him so locked in and dialed in. I mean, he has Mike Tyson in his corner, and all it takes is one punch to put, you know, Tyson Fury down. And we've seen it before. We've seen Deontay Wilder have success putting down, you know, Tyson Fury. But it's what happens when Fury gets back up. What happens when Fury's in his face, you know? In terms of an MMA fight, I mean, obviously, I feel like we could switch around the roles, you know, put Francis in that minus 2,000 space. But, like, in terms of MMA, I mean, Francis has always had a good jab, a good right hand, you know, good hooks, but nothing, like, too polished, too clean, where it's like, okay, he could definitely throw that in a boxing sense. It's more kind of looping shots, wild shots, you know, and, you know, we've seen it before, like, in the Jairzinho-Rozenstruik fight. He knows he has that dynamite in his hands, so he'll just throw it just to throw it, you know, just to be able to connect. With this fight in particular, I mean, everything he throws matters, whether it's the jab, the right hand to the body, which is something I feel like he could have a ton of success in. Right hand to the body, you know, jab to the body, you know, overhand, you know, uppercuts. I feel like there's a lot of shots in particular that could work on Tyson Fury. Get him accustomed to, you know, that body shot, you know, 2 to the body, come up, jab, you know, 2 to the face, and, you know, he could have a lot of success with it. He absolutely could. So I feel like everyone counting out Francis Ngannou is just, you know, counting him out just because, like, man, you know, he's an MMA fighter. Crazy enough, Tyson Fury is actually 35 years old. I've honestly thought he was like a lot older, but he's 35 with Francis being, you know, 37. So a little bit close in age. I feel like both guys are now going to start leaving their prime. But, I mean, they always say that in a fighter, the power is the last thing to go. And I feel like that's the really emphasis that I want to put on. That being said, though, going and looking at the other corner, you know, Tyson Fury, I mean, he's as good as they come, you know, a very polished boxer, solid with the defense, solid with the movement. I mean, man, for how big he is, he moves so well on his feet. And I feel like, yeah, if he touches Francis, I mean, he can absolutely be hurt. And I do feel like Francis is one of those guys that he could take one. He could, you know, give one, but he can't take one necessarily. And, you know, that's something very common with guys that can crack. You know, they just can't get cracked back. You know, Mike Tyson, you know, he's been knocked out, but obviously he knocks out all these people. Wilder, you know, he's been knocked out. Then again, he can knock out all these people. Many examples across history, and I do have a sneaking suspicion that Francis is one of those guys. You know, I think one of the more evident moments was in that second fight with Stipe. Just before the finishing sequence, you know, Stipe, you know, stepped back, and I think it was straight. He actually hurt him with that before Francis started just throwing, trading, and then boom, found the shot that put Stipe out. I feel like you can absolutely bet that if, you know, such a polished boxer like Tyson Fury could land that and then land another jab, another 2 jabs to the body, like just mix up his shots as beautiful as boxers do, he could absolutely put out Francis. But at the end of the day, I feel like this is definitely a gimmick fight, you know, the classic MMA versus boxer fighter. I mean, battle of the giants, or you know, whatever it's being promoted, you know, by ESPN. But at the end of the day, both guys are just in this, you know, for the money. I mean, this is a super fight. We have since found out that Tyson Fury is going to do a crazy turnaround and fight Alexander Usyk. So that just shows you where his mindset is, that this is not going to be competitive at all. But I don't think it's going to be non-competitive where he's going to go out there and absolutely get a finish. I think it's just going to be one of those non-competitive fights where it could be like a staring contest, like when Francis fought Derek Lewis. I mean, both guys may throw out some stuff, but it's just going to be a staring contest for all rounds that it go. So, I mean, for my official prediction, I'm obviously going to go Tyson Fury, but I will say I am going to be personally sprinkling something on Francis because I am holding out the hope that he's not just doing this for the paycheck, that he's actually going to go out there and when he touches Tyson, everything he throws is to put him out. That's what I'm rooting for. That's what we all want to see as fight fans. So I hope that's what happens. I mean, could you just imagine the scenes in Saudi Arabia? Like, the crowd would go absolutely crazy if Francis just lands that uppercut, that, hook, whatever it is, puts Tyson Fury out cold, on the ground, ends the fight. Greatest heavyweight in the world, whether it's boxing, MMA. I mean, you have to give that to him. And if that happens, it's just gonna make me even more sad that we didn't get to see him versus John Jones. Anyways, you guys, please click the like button, comment down below what you guys think of the fight, let me know who you guys have, and subscribe for more. Peace.